there, and welcome to Hitman Blood Money. Oh, usage statistics. We would like to collect usage statistics and save states from your game automatically. These are not used to identify individuals, but help us understand players' needs and improve our games. You can change these settings. Okay, I guess I'll say yes. Help out IO Interactive, because they have made this and quite a few excellent Hitman games. So yes, this is Hitman Blood Money, opening with that wonderful bit of music of the Ave Maria, which I think is what they used. I think they used it in both of the Hitman films, certainly the first one. Have there only been 2 Hitman films? I think I've only seen the first one with Timothy Oliphant. But enough about that. Let's talk about the game. So this is on the Nintendo Switch and the Reprisal version of Hitman Blood Money. So this was the 3rd game in the Hitman series. There was Hitman Codename 47. No, in fact, it was the 4th game, sorry. Yeah, there was Codename 47, then Hitman Contracts, then Hitman 2, wait a second. There was Hitman Codename 47, Hitman 2, what was that called? Silent Assassin, then there was Hitman Contracts, and then Hitman Blood Money. Yeah, only the 2nd one went with the numbering thing. And this originally released in 2006, back on the PS2, Xbox, and PC. There was the PC version, and also released on the Xbox 360 version, was kind of a slightly ramped up graphics, basically the same game, but just nicer graphics, as was kind of what was going on during that period of crossover when the PS2 and Xbox were coming to the end of their life cycles, and the Xbox 360 came in first, and then the PS3. So yeah, I think the PS3 came out in 2006, the same as this. So I'm not sure if Hitman Blood Money, I think it released a little bit later, maybe on PS3 than Xbox 360, I'm quite sure. But I originally played this back on the PS2, and I played it a lot because I came into contact with the Hitman games with Hitman Contracts, and then I think it was actually much later that I played Hitman 2. Hitman Codename 47 I've never played, and because it was just on PC. But yeah, I remember being very excited. No, I think I must have played Hitman 2 before playing this, because I was extremely excited about the release of this game, and it was one of those games where the anticipation was high, but it did not disappoint. It felt like there are a lot of things that they improved over Hitman Contracts. They didn't change. It felt quite different, sort of the same but kind of different, if that makes sense. The graphics felt like a big jump at that time from Contracts, a bit more realistic. They seemed at the time less, I suppose, cartoony, because that was kind of the interesting thing, and specifically with Hitman Contracts, just how kind of cartoony in a way it looks, while also being really dark and gritty and violent, and just very moody, dark atmosphere. Whereas this has a very dark atmosphere, while also, though, having a lot of missions in the daytime, and also this sense of intensity, I suppose, with grittiness, I guess. And it feels, so I'm playing this as part of my summer season of games, just because it feels like there's a sense of heat in this game, a sense of there's a lot of missions in America, and in the kind of south of America, which I or southern states of America, I want to say, which I associate as being very hot. There's also I think in Las Vegas there's 2 missions. There's not quite as much globetrotting in this. I think it's mainly in America, in fact. And yeah, it has this sense of kind of being in the heat, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it, but also being really dark. And it's got, even though there's bright sunshine in many missions, it has a very dark and violent vibe to it, as you would expect as a Hitman. And of course these games have always had quite a dark sense of humour, and indeed have embraced their darker side. With our man here, Agent 47. Interestingly, here they changed the style. He's wearing a shirt with stripes on, and then a striped tie as well. The striped red, his signature red tie. I think in subsequent games, it's just gone back to plain white shirts and just a plain red tie. But yeah, it has a very particular feel to it, this game. I feel like I'm not quite expressing that quite well, but you'll see as I start playing it. And as I say, yeah, it just feels like summer to me, this game. A dangerous summer, even though there are a couple of missions. There's one that's explicitly at Christmas. There's another that's around carnival time. That would be kind of February, but you know, I think it just fits as a summer of death, a summer of a hell of a summer, I suppose you could say, because actually there's really strong themes of hell in this game, hell and the devil. It's kind of interesting to go through it. Anyway, I don't want to spoil too much for those who have not seen it much. So yeah, I did play this initially on PS2, I suppose mostly on PS2, and then later when I got a 360 I played it there, and yeah, definitely a kind of an improvement on the graphics, though there were some kind of issues which I'll get into a little bit later that I didn't like with the 360 version. And so this reprisal version changes just a few things. It's basically the same game, and it's not a remaster or anything like that. Maybe no, I don't think they have improved the graphics anyway. I think it's basically like the HD version that I think was released, what was that, in the 2010s at one point. It's basically the HD version of the game. Maybe they've improved some textures and things here and there, but they've added some stuff like a mini-map, and also the instinct mode that is in the more recent Hitman games, but I don't really like that, so I'm probably not going to be using that. And yeah, they've improved the gunplay a little bit, because often the recoil could be really strong when getting into gunfights in this game, as you kind of do when things go bad, get chaotic. But they seem to have tightened that up, so gunfights feel a lot more manageable, and they've kind of added an over-the-shoulder zoom for shooting in place of the first person, because the initial Hitman games, I think Codename 47 as well, but certainly Hitman 2, Hitman Contracts, and this, you could swap at any time between first person and third person, which I always liked. And yeah, kind of a shame they abandoned that, because I like that in games when they give you that option just to swap between, because sometimes it's nice to be close in, sometimes it's nice to be further back. But yeah, what else do I want to say about this? Well, the music, we've got, of course, the Ave Maria here, but as we get into the game, we will experience the fantastic music of Jesper Kid, who's done a few game soundtracks. I think most notable beyond the Hitman games is also the Assassin's Creed games, in particular Assassin's Creed 2. Fantastic. I guess he seems to be the guy to score games about killers, about assassins. But this just has, I mean, he did a great soundtrack on the previous games, but this one just in particular, I have a great love for this soundtrack. In fact, I even remember buying at the time a CD of the soundtrack. I think it was the cover art was just that one where it's the close-up just of Agent 47's torso with the fibre wire, like the glisten of the fibre wire being stretched across, and his black gloves, and it's just a really cool album cover. And I just listened to the soundtrack just on its own quite a lot. It's a very listenable soundtrack, just stands up as an LP in its own right. So yeah, looking forward to listening to that again. And just this game has some incredible missions in it, and also a bit similar to Contracts. It's kind of bookended each mission with the kind of present day, what's going on. Essentially it's flashbacks of what the missions Agent 47 has been doing. So I'm gonna press start, which is kind of weird. LR to start. I don't know why they've gone with that. I guess it's different. And I'm going to create a new profile. Okay. Shall we just go with T? No, let's go for the full Tobotico name. So yeah, I actually don't know how many hours I've probably put into this game back in the day. Really a lot, because as is with these games, they are very replayable. I mean, they're designed to replay the missions, to try out different things. And here we are at the very modern funeral home with our guy in his kind of high-tech wheelchair there, and Agent 47 himself in a white suit. So this menu screen actually here will change as we progress through the game, so I'll try to make sure I show that, because I think that'd be good to see between each mission. So let's have a look at what is different. We've got on help and support. Okay. Oh, so Feral Interactive, I think, are who did the remaster, basically. Be interesting to see what's on that website. So here in the options, for audio and language, I want to leave that as is. Subtitles enabled, yes. Language English. So interestingly, with graphic, yes, we want the blood. So yeah, 2006, around this time, a lot of games like to put a filter on them, and some worked, some didn't work. A lot of games sometimes ended up just looking really kind of orange and deserty, you know, a bit like at the beginning of Spectre. I don't know if you've seen in that, like the scene in Mexico, that excellent kind of one single shot with Bond walking through. I think there's a version of that on YouTube where they removed the filter, because it's like, why do people think everything in Mexico has like a yellow-orange filter? And it felt like a lot of games had that back in the 2000s. And some worked and some didn't work so well. But I think with this game, it worked. It gives, I think, that sense of heat that I was talking about before. But interestingly, without it, you can see the difference. In fact, yeah, I could argue actually this scene here kind of looks pretty cool with the color correction disabled, but And it would be cool, interesting to play through it without that, but it's part of just, I guess, the identity of this game, that filter. And as I say, I feel it works with this one. So I think, yeah, I decided, I think I want the gamma down a little bit. I just wanted to darken a bit. I think some of the missions, I think it kind of looks a little bit better. I'll see how I go. And here, interestingly, field of view, which back in the day we did not have this option. In fact, that was one of my bugbears between the PS2 and the 360 version, because in the PS2 you're at a certain distance from 47, sort of not that kind of close in over the shoulder view, but kind of, I guess, starting from his ankles up. But with that was, of course, game was set up for 4:3 aspect ratio, whereas the 360, being more modern, was the widescreen version. And with some games, like with some TV series, I think they did the same sort of thing. They kind of just zoomed it in, and so I found the camera just too close, and that kind of annoyed me. And you couldn't change it back on the 360, so I kind of preferred playing the PS2 version, even though the 360 version did look better. But here we have field of view, so I think it defaulted at 55, but I'm pretty sure 65 is where I liked it. That seems to be 75 is maybe a little bit too kind of fish-eyed in a way, so I'm going to go with 65. Everything else is fine. Controls, so we've got the control scheme, which I think is pretty much the same as it always was. I guess the only thing is, we got reload also doubles as instinct. So yeah, they've kind of added, along with mini-map and things, some kind of bigger button prompts, which I'm not so keen on this version. And also you cannot fully turn off the HUD, which is also a bit frustrating. So motion aim, no, I do not want that. And I think that is all good. So yeah, gameplay, I'm pretty much going to turn all of this off, I think. So simplify strangle, not quite sure what changes with that. So I might just try enhanced. The pip cam, picture in picture cam, kind of useful to see some of the story beats going on. Auto reload, no. Though, yeah, there is an annoying thing with this where it will say reload on the screen right in front of the camera, which again is the thing I hate. It's a little bit heavy, this version, with the button prompts, which, yeah, I'll try not to let it annoy me too much. I think the aim assist is just when you go to the over-the-shoulder zoom in, which is kind of useful, to be honest. Instinct, no thank you. The mini-map, to be honest, not really that helpful, because often you want to just check the entire map anyway. It's a bit sort of limited. I might kind of, as I get into the game, the first mission, the first part, maybe just show what these things look like, so you can get a sense. Alerts, I think turn those off. I think it still will show an exclamation mark though about things. Yeah, interactive highlights, no. The view reticle, I only want that when I'm aiming, which is quite good that it will always leave that on with a weapon drawn, but I don't need it when I'm holstered. And that is that. I think we're pretty much all set up, really. So before starting the game, which I will do in the next part, a little bit about how I intend to play this, because of course the wonderful thing about the Hitman games that they've done I don't know, again, as I've not played it in Codename 47, I think that kind of freedom was there from the start. But certainly from Hitman 2, you kind of have these sandbox missions, pretty open, with different routes, different things you can do. You have your objective, who you need to kill. Sometimes you have to find certain objects. And, you know, if you want to, what I love about what IO Interactive did is they let you do what you want. You could just go in, and if you could survive it, guns blazing, kill everyone, get it done, you know. Or you can be properly a shadow and of course use all the disguises, create accidents, so it doesn't even seem like there's been a homicide. It's just like, oh, there's an accident has happened. And there's a few nice ones actually set up within this. So what I'm probably gonna do is play, so it has, slightly annoyingly with the different difficulties, it kind of eliminates certain things like being able to save. I think what this game really needed, which I think they have in the newer games, is just a quick save, which like literally just press a button. I think probably on PC they have that, like just press like F1, quick save, because sometimes you just sort of spot something and think, oh, I want to try that out, and then like, oh, okay, everything's got messed up. Let's come out of that and reload. But yeah, as you get onto the higher difficulties, it removes all saves. And I suppose what I want to do is I'm going to aim for stealth, aim to be a professional hitman and figure things out. You know, it's been quite a few years since I played this, but I'm sure I remember a few things here and there. And just try and get the mission done as, you know, as an expert hitman as well as I can. But if things go a bit wrong, if I try something out and it doesn't work, see if I can get out of it, see if I can survive. And even if it ends up with a full, you know, guns blazing bloodbath, if I can make it through and complete the mission, I'll continue with that. I'll only restart if I get killed. And that's also why I'm going to go with a slightly less difficulty, so I can just survive a bit longer, because that is also a big, you know, fun side of Hitman, the unpredictability of it sometimes. Sometimes it can feel like, you know, something goes wrong and then somehow magically every guard, every policeman or whatever on the map knows where you are and is hunting you down. Sometimes it can be a bit extreme. Other times, you know, you can get away with a few mess ups here and there. So yeah, it'd be kind of cool to show both sides. So I'm just going to leave it to chance, see what happens, because I want this to be sort of a dynamic, a fresh experience also for myself, like I say, after years of not playing this. And so yeah, that is the plan for Hitman Bloody Hitman Blood Money, the reprisal version. It's quite exciting to play this on Switch. I think this is the first time a Hitman game has come to a Nintendo console, which is pretty cool. And I think this reprisal version is only available on Switch and on mobile, perhaps. But yeah, that's, I think, all I have to say, other than I hope you'll come join me on this journey into Hitman, and yeah, let's hope it'll be fun. We'll see what crazy stuff we can get up to, how good it can be. So yeah, come join me for part 1 coming up next. Take care and goodbye.